Satisfy your need for happiness through your own curiosity with the Ranveer Show. Islamic invasions. Let's talk about the story.
Okay.
Okay. Why don't we begin with what happened pre-Islamic invasions in India? Like in terms of what was the landscape, the culture of all Indians at that point in the subcontinent. And by subcontinent, I also mean Pakistan. I also mean Afghanistan. Why don't you draw out a cultural, historical, geographical map, as well as an economic map, as well as a kind of blueprint about what went wrong that these invasions became successful? Because technically, the winners of war write history. So we were the losers of war in that period. If we lost war, there was something that went wrong on our side. It's like losing a cricket game and then you go back to say that, oh, between overs 20 and 30, we didn't do this.
Okay.
So highlight that also, because it's important to study history from a psychological perspective so that history doesn't repeat itself.
Sure. That's a lot of ground you have asked me to cover.
Feel free wherever.
So broadly speaking, India had external invasions before Islam. The earliest recorded is by Alexander. Then the Hunas came in, Huns, Shakas came in, Pahlavis came in. So multiple guys came, but they did not do significant damage. One. Two, they were all pre-Islamic invasions, which means the faith called Islam had not yet been born in this world.
Okay.
All right.
Same geographical area.
And the Greek invasions began even before Christianity had taken root, even in the West. So they didn't do significant damage to us due to various factors. We had extraordinarily strong kingdoms, and the modes of travel, climate, weather, all those Hindu Kush mountains, and then the Karakoram Pass. It was very hostile territory. The Himalayas, even today, it is still our natural fortress. All right. So on the socio-religious cultural landscape, it was a rather homogeneous society in one sense. You had different schools of which were the offshoots of Hindu Dharma itself. Mainly the Vaidika school, and second the Buddhist school. And much later you had other schools like Shakta, Shaiva, Vaishnava. Much later they came. So this was roughly the socio-religious landscape. Now on the economic landscape, India was the world's largest economy. Okay, second only to China. Sometimes the equations would change roughly here and there. Now, on the political side, we were characterized by, sweeping empires under one king. It began with Chandragupta Maurya, and then followed by Satavahanas, Guptas, all these sweeping large empires as big as some 10 European countries. That was the size of one empire, ruled by one monarch. So this was roughly the political thing. And there was cultural unity in the sense that although the Hindu mind, there was no non-Hindu influence in that sense by that time. So the Hindu mind had always had a sense of India's geographical borders, and they were united culturally, which is still the case today. Why would someone, you're familiar with Panchang, right? Almanac, Hindu calendar.
Okay.
Yeah. So what does it contain? It contains a list of, various festivals, tithis, and, everything. Let's take the case of Ganesh Chaturthi. You are in Bombay. So across India, this festival is celebrated different. Here, the importance is too much. So you check out the Panchang, what it says on Ganesh Chaturthi. Where all it is celebrated, not just in Maharashtra, but across India. All the famous Ganesha temples on this day, kaun sa utsav hoga, and why it is done. So this shows your cultural unity in the sense of both geography, space and time. Time. as festival, indicated by a day of the festival. Space in different parts of India. So this was always there in our psyche. It is still there. Why should I go to a Tirth Yatra in say Ujjain? क्यों मंदिर नहीं है बैंगलोर में, है ना? Why should I go to Ujjain? Or why should I go to Rameshwaram? Or why should somebody staying in Jalandhar come all the way till Kanchipuram? Right? Why should the sari for Kamakhya Devi temple in Assam, till date it is stitched in Kanchipuram? So which law, which rule book tells you to do this? Which created this system? The Purohit in Pashupatinath temple in Nepal, he comes from South Canara in Karnataka. Compulsory. So if you next time you go there, you speak to him in Kannada, he'll reply to you in Kannada. So which system created this? What created this? So it is what is known as sadhana, tapasya. It is a long process of trial and error and a profound kind of evolution. So this was the cultural landscape back then. All right. Political ho gaya, cultural ho gaya, economic ho gaya. Then what was the other thing? Something else you asked.
Psychological.
Psychological is, I wouldn't use that word psychological, but this was how it was roughly spread. Okay. What we also did was that, I don't like to use this term, but since it is fashionable now, I'll use it. India was the greatest exporter of culture.
True.
When our businessmen went out in caravans, they took Hindu culture with them. And wherever they went, they told stories from India, from Jataka stories, from Hitopadesha, from Panchatantra, from Ramayana, Mahabharata, Vishnu Purana, Bhagavatam. Wherever they went, even in the Middle East, you trace the history of folklore in Persia, Turkey, Middle East, you will find a Hindu element there. So this has happened more than minimum 2,000 years ago. It was a continuous exchange until Islam cut it off. This used to be there, and what is today known as Southeast Asia. There the influence, it is an extension counter of Hindu culture, actually speaking. What made this possible? Unless you have this kind of political power, which is also an enlightened political power, you don't need swords to go out and kill and conquer and then, impose your culture. Two ways to do this. Right? One is, chop off and then convert or, forcibly impose your culture on an unwilling population. Or you do this. You have your secure borders, you're secure in a political kingdom, power, you know how to defend your borders from both internal and external threats. And then culture automatically spreads itself. Even China, till date, it hates India for a reason that, without firing a single shot, without throwing a single sword, India culturally conquered China. A lot of Chinese medicine owes to a 2nd century AD Ayurvedic text named Navanitakam.
If you enjoyed today's clip, make sure you check out these curated playlists that we've made especially for you related to the subject that was spoken about in this clip.